Plato's Allegory of the Cave, a labyrinth of perception and the ascent to truth. Imagine a cavern, its depths shrouded in an oppressive darkness. Here, a group of prisoners huddle together, their forms barely discernible in the gloom. They have been chained in this place since birth, their legs and necks immobilized, forever facing a smooth, blank wall. Behind them, a fire crackles and pops, casting an flickering orange glow. But the prisoners are oblivious to this source of light. All they perceive are the dancing shadows that flit erratically across the wall before them. These flickering silhouettes are the prisoners' entire world. They have never known anything different. A misshapen shadow of a dog becomes a fearsome beast in their minds. A distorted reflection of a human hand morphs into a godlike entity. They assign names and meanings to these fleeting projections, weaving intricate narratives around them. This limited sensory experience is the sum total of their reality, a world constructed entirely of illusion. One day, a dramatic shift disrupts this carefully constructed existence. One of the prisoners, restless and yearning for something more, strains against his bonds. With a Herculean effort, he manages to loosen the chains that have held him captive for so long. He stumbles out of his fixed position, his body stiff and unaccustomed to movement. Hesitantly, he turns towards the fire, the source of the flickering shadows that have dominated his life. As he inches closer, the heat intensifies, causing him to flinch back. The light, once filtered and muted, now assaults him with its raw brilliance. His eyes, accustomed to the perpetual twilight of the cave, are seared with pain. He cries out, overwhelmed by the sensory overload. This initial exposure to the true source of the shadows is a metaphor for the initial pangs of enlightenment. It's a painful awakening, a shattering of the comfortable illusions that had provided a sense of security. Gradually, as his eyes adjust to the harsh light, the prisoner begins to discern the true nature of the shadows. He sees the objects being held by the people who walk between the fire and the wall, the very objects that cast the distorted shapes he once believed in. He witnesses the process of illusion-making firsthand, the manipulation of light and form. This newfound understanding is akin to achieving a higher level of consciousness, a glimpse into the world of forms, the realm of perfect, unchanging ideas that lies beyond the physical world, according to Plato's philosophy. However, the journey isn't complete. The prisoner, now burdened with the weight of truth, feels an overwhelming urge to share his newfound knowledge with his fellow prisoners. He navigates back through the darkness, his eyes now accustomed to the dimness. But upon returning, he is met with skepticism and disbelief. The other prisoners scoff at his tales of a world beyond the cave, clinging to the familiar comfort of their shadows. They mock him for his strange claims and warn him against questioning the established order. This resistance to enlightenment reflects the inherent challenges faced by those who seek to challenge established beliefs. Just as the freed prisoner encounters doubt and ridicule, so too do philosophers and educators who push the boundaries of knowledge and understanding. They grapple with the inertia of ignorance, the tendency to cling to what is familiar even if it's demonstrably false. The allegory doesn't shy away from portraying the difficulties associated with the pursuit of truth. It highlights the initial discomfort of challenging one's own worldview, the resistance from those comfortable with the status quo, and the responsibility that comes with knowledge. It's a call to courage, to persevere in the face of doubt and push beyond the limitations of our senses. Ultimately, Plato's Allegory of the Cave is a timeless exploration of the human condition. It reminds us that our perception of the world is subjective and shaped by our experiences. It compels us to question what we see and believe, to seek out knowledge beyond the shadows, and to embrace the discomfort of enlightenment. It's a reminder that the journey towards truth, though challenging, is a path worth taking, for it allows us to see the world in all its complexity and wonder. The responsibility of the enlightened, a spark in the darkness. The freed prisoner's struggle within the cave after his enlightenment presents a profound question: what is the responsibility of those who have glimpsed the truth? Plato suggests that simply returning to the cave and sharing the experience is not enough. Imagine the freed prisoner attempting to explain the sun, a concept entirely foreign to the chained men. Their world is one of shadows, devoid of light and warmth. How can they comprehend the existence of something so different, so far beyond their limited perception? his descriptions of a blazing orb in the sky or vast landscapes bathed in sunlight would likely be dismissed as fantastical ravings. Here, Plato introduces the concept of the philosopher king. The freed prisoner, having ascended to the world of forms and grasped true knowledge, becomes a symbolic representation of the philosopher. He possesses a responsibility to return to the cave, not just to share his experience, but to guide the other prisoners towards enlightenment. This act of guidance, however, requires patience and empathy. The philosopher king understands the limitations of the prisoner's perception. He cannot simply force them to see the light, he must lead them gradually, using methods they can understand. He might start by drawing parallels between the shadows and the objects that cast them. He could explain the fire as the source of illumination, demonstrating its role in creating the shadows. This process of education is akin to the act of dialectic, a core concept in Platonic philosophy. It involves a series of questions and answers that challenge assumptions and lead to a deeper understanding of truth. The philosopher king, through this method, would slowly chip away at the prisoner's comfortable ignorance, planting seeds of doubt and encouraging them to question their limited reality. The allegory also acknowledges the potential dangers of this mission. The freed prisoner might face ridicule and even hostility from his former companions. They might view him as a traitor, someone who has abandoned their shared reality. He might be ostracized or even forced back into his chains, a chilling reminder of the resistance to change and the potential consequences of challenging the status quo. Despite the challenges, the allegory suggests that the pursuit of knowledge and the act of sharing it are paramount. The philosopher king, armed with his understanding of the forms, has the potential to elevate not just himself but also his fellow prisoners. He can become a catalyst for change, a spark that ignites a fire of curiosity within the darkness of the cave. Ultimately, Plato's allegory of the cave transcends its historical context. It remains a powerful allegory for the ongoing struggle between ignorance and enlightenment. It reminds us of the importance of education, critical thinking, and the courage to question what we believe to be true. It is a call to all of us, not just philosophers or educators, to be seekers of truth and to share the light of knowledge with those who still dwell in the shadows. The escape and beyond, a cave in every mind. Plato's allegory doesn't end with the philosopher king attempting to enlighten his fellow prisoners. It delves further, exploring the concept of the ideal society and the role of the enlightened individual within it. The act of escaping the cave can be interpreted not just literally, but metaphorically as well. The cave can symbolize any situation where knowledge is limited or controlled. It could represent an educational system that prioritizes rote memorization over critical thinking, a society ruled by dogma and blind faith, or even the confines of our own limited perspectives. The escape, then, becomes a metaphor for intellectual liberation. It's the process of breaking free from mental chains, questioning assumptions, and seeking out new knowledge. This journey isn't limited to philosophers or academics, it's a call to all of us to challenge our own biases and expand our understanding of the world. However, the allegory warns that simply escaping the cave isn't enough. Just as the freed prisoner had a responsibility to return, so too do those who have achieved a degree of enlightenment have an obligation to help others on their own journeys. This can take many forms: a teacher inspiring curiosity in their students, a scientist sharing their discoveries with the public, or even a friend challenging another's perspective in a thoughtful conversation. The allegory also compels us to consider the nature of a just society. Plato suggests that an ideal society would be one where those who have ascended from the cave, those who possess knowledge of the forms, take on leadership roles. These philosopher kings would guide the society towards truth and justice, using their understanding of the ideal forms to create a world that reflects them. This concept, however, has been debated for centuries. Some argue that concentrating power in the hands of a select few, even enlightened ones, is a recipe for tyranny. Others see it as a necessary step towards a meritocratic society where leadership is based on knowledge and wisdom, not birthright or charisma. The allegory doesn't provide easy answers. Instead, it prompts us to grapple with complex questions about knowledge, power, and the nature of reality. It challenges us to be not just seekers of truth, but also responsible stewards of that knowledge. Ultimately, Plato's allegory of the cave remains a powerful and enduring metaphor. It serves as a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong journey, a constant process of escaping the caves of our own ignorance. It compels us to embrace the light of reason, to challenge assumptions, and to share our understanding with others. As we navigate the labyrinthine corridors of our own perception, the allegory serves as a guiding light, urging us ever onward towards the pursuit of truth.